Got basketball and Focus Change Rib Shack for a big Thursday. Have been gone for about a week, had some games. We were broadcasting last week, Northwest and Southwest girls and boys over at Northwest last week. Back at Change this week, talking some more sports, some more basketball. Big decision today with Grimsley to hire Daryl Brown out of Southern Guilford as their football coach. So Grimsley's got a new football coach. Hope to have Coach Brown with us next week, talk about his decision to leave Southern Guilford after 15 years on the coaching staff, 11 years as head coach at Southern, to go on over to, we're ready to go down the street to Grimsley, just down the street from Shane's, and be the Whirly's new head coach. So that's Daryl Brown's move. Other moves in football and basketball, a lot of moves. The guys are going to be signing their letters of intent next week on February 3rd, next Wednesday, for their football decisions of the future. Those are coming up. And some other signings next week, too. Some signings on Friday morning at Southern Guilford. Some guys are going to sign there for baseball. 3 kids signing on Friday morning for Southern, going on to Randolph Community College. I think going to Rockingham Community College, going on to GTCC, the kids from Southern Guilford. So they'll be signing there next week. And let's start some NBA talk tonight. We've got Bryson Gordon with us. Good to have Bryson on board. Good to see you again, as always.
Nice to be here.
Are you doing some good writing for us lately on the website, getting the job done there? And now you're going to do some talk about some basketball tonight. So let's start out with some NBA talk. Let's go to Charlotte Hornets right quick. Hornets have been playing well lately. I think they won 3 or 4 games last week, 3 out of 4. Had an overtime game, double overtime game. Kemba Walker had 52 points in the game, set the franchise record. But they got beat by Utah last night by about 25 points. So it was 75 last night. A lot of injuries on that Hornets team.
Yeah, the Hornets, they're just now coming around. I know they're getting Michael Kidd-Gilchrist back soon, who is out so far the whole season with that shoulder injury. But if they get healthy, man, they're really going to make a deep run if they can make the playoffs. So Hornets, Kemba Walker's really starting to come around as a pro. Out of Connecticut, everybody thought he would just be kind of like the sensation like he was in the NCAA tournament. But he's really turned himself into a good pro now in Charlotte.
And they got about 5 guys in that injured list. Nicholas Batam, who they picked up in the all season, helped them a lot earlier in the year. Maybe he helped him too much and maybe overstepped his bounds and got worked out too hard, got injured. Cody Zeller's been there, Jeremy Lamb, Al Jefferson. Al Jefferson may be done. I'm not sure about his future with the team. You mentioned Marcus Kidd-Gilchrist, and that's about 5 guys. That's about a third of your team right there. But not a lot. They've been going hard with a makeshift lineup. Last Saturday, picked up a win behind Jeremy Lin and P.J. Harrison. Both had big games. They picked up, like I said, 3 or 4 wins last week. But again, I mean, they're kind of living on the edge right now with all those injuries, and you just don't know when to get all these guys back. And you hope a guy like Kemba Walker, hope they don't play him so much that he may end up getting injured too.
Yeah, Kemba Walker's definitely a player that the Hornets can't lose. He's already the key player on this team, even though they have Nicholas Batum, who's been really good for him. Al Jefferson, of course, kind of the guy that started the whole turnaround for Charlotte.
He was great back in the day. I loved him when he first came there. Then he got injured. Then he had some drug problems and suspended. But man, remember the year they went to the playoffs? That first year he was there, I guess, and he went up against, I think, Miami in the first round, number 8 versus number 1, and they had some very competitive first couple games. And he got injured that Sunday afternoon TV game. He got injured that game. After that, they just had no chance in the playoffs. He got hurt. It was like he was trying to stay out there, trying to keep going, but he just couldn't go because he was hurt. It almost looked sad. That's the way the team drifted last season it was, or season before. They just had a terrible season the following year. Terrible.
Yeah, the Hornets team, it goes as Al Jefferson goes. And, of course, Kemba Walker's starting to pick up the slack now. But Al Jefferson, he's a true, he's a back-to-the-basket
You think he's going to be back around for those guys and be 100% again someday?
I mean, I'm sure he wants to come back, but I don't think he wants to push his body too far. So as long as what he wants to do, I'm sure he really wants to be out there with the Hornets, because the Hornets definitely have a good chance of making the playoffs.
Can I ask you about that? What do you think their chances are making the playoffs this year?
Well, in the East is right up there with the West. I mean, the West is kind of wide open this year, other than the Warriors and the Spurs, of course. But if the Hornets can stay healthy, I definitely think they can make the playoffs in the East.
You just got to get a few games or more above 500. You got so many teams at the number 8 spot that are 500 or better. And when you're drifting out like the Hornets are here and there and losing those games, odds and ends, you just got to win those key games. You got to get about 5 or 6 games over 500, and you still give yourself a cushion. And you'd rather get in maybe at not the number 8 seed, maybe the 6 or 7 seed if you could.
Yeah, if you have the 8 seed, that's a tough time going to Cleveland and playing, in Cleveland a couple games.
Even a Golden State beat them about 40 that one night. And the coach ends up getting fired of all things. Who did they hire as their coach to follow him?
Tyronn Lue.
Tyronn Lue. I don't know much about him at all. I saw his name because it was just dropped in some conversation. Lue. T. Lue?
Yeah, Tyronn Lue, yeah.
Much
Former
about-
NBA player, played for the Lakers.
Yeah, remember his name vaguely, yeah.
So,
At this day and time, no matter who you are, you can coach a team. If they want you to coach them, you got a good chance to coach.
yeah, he was an assistant for the Cavs. He was kind of like the defensive coordinator, quote unquote, for a basketball team. He did a lot of the work on the defensive end. So
Is he good friends with LeBron James?
yeah,
They good buddies?
Yeah, LeBron endorses him. He likes Tyronn Lue, so that's a good sign for his
Yeah, it
job.
sure is. I mean, his job security goes along with what LeBron James wants done. If he wants to change things, he will, and they have changed things there. But again, back to the Hornets, you think they got a decent chance, so like you said, to get in the playoffs maybe this year? Because it would be a great step in the right direction to make the playoffs without Marcus Kidd-Gilchrist there not playing. If he doesn't play much at all, it'd be great to be there. If you can get him later in the season, you head toward the playoffs, it'd be a nicer boost.
Yeah, if they can just hang around. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist isn't the best offensive player, but what he brings on the defensive end, it's incredible. And he's got.
It's kind of crazy how some players, when they hit the pros, they kind of change the way that everybody's a scorer in college at some time or another.
Yeah.
Because you get in the pros, you got to become a little more specialized, more of a rebounder, more of a passer, more of a defensive player. And those defensive players, they love them because there's not enough of those guys to go around. Because a lot of guys don't want to play defense, not willing to try to play. You know, P.J. Harris's defense has got better too. They had him on. He was covering against Carmelo Anthony in a game when they beat the Knicks back on Saturday night when he had that 20-point game and 10-rebound game. He's had a great all-around game that night.
Yeah,
he's coming out. I know
really
he's playing a little more forward now too, getting more rebounds. I mean, they had him at the 2 guard starting quite a bit earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Then they kind of shifted him down low, but he's so strong he gets good rebounds too. I'm just glad to see him having good games, having some of a good career there.
Yeah, that's right. And PJ's really coming along as well because it's all about the system. The NBA, in college everybody can score, but in the NBA it's a lot more of a system game. If you get the right player in the right system, anybody can be good. I mean, everybody saw Steph Curry. He was okay his first few years, but when Steve Kerr comes in and he unleashes him and lets him shoot as much as he wants, Steph Curry turns into an MVP caliber player. And this season, a lot of people think that he's competing with LeBron James for the best player on the planet. If you can get the right player on the right team, because a guy like Danny Green, he floated around the league for a couple years, but he found his niche with the Spurs, and now he's going to be shooting.
There's a guy like Shane Battier too. I mean, in college he was the man at Duke, but against the pros he's got to kind of adjust his career, and did that with the Heat and did pretty well down there. They liked him there too.
Yeah, he turned the Heat into like the step they were. They were a finals team, but he turned them into a championship team with what he brought in leadership and on the defensive end. He's really good.
I'll tell you a guy who fits that role perfectly too over the years. Always, this guy must have about 7 or 8 championship rings. Robert Horry. Robert would go to San Antonio Spurs, Lakers. Everywhere he went, he had to be at the right place at the right time. Wasn't an outstanding player at Alabama, but just a solid rebounder, a solid defender in many ways, and just able to get the job done and got himself a lot of hardware to go with it. And I mean, people remember him. If they remember you from the pros, that's good, real good.
Yeah, he had a couple big shots in his career, but it just goes to show you how much of a system game the NBA is. If you can get the right guy in the right spot, almost anybody can thrive, because you make it to the NBA for a reason. Those guys are pretty good basketball players, so once you get them where they feel comfortable, they're going to be really good at basketball.
I'll probably bring this name up again later tonight with Michael. I'd written a couple of notes for you guys to talk about these teams and the pros in college and high school basketball, but one name I'd nearly forgotten today, but I was able to remember that name, and just goes to show you how quickly you forget these guys. But he was a top draft pick by the Hornets last year. Frank Kaminsky, almost forgot about him out of Wisconsin. I mean, had a great college career, came to the pros, a lot of promise, a lot of hope. Hadn't heard a lot about him since he joined the Hornets. He's had a few games when he was there, but it's not been the impact player some thought he might be. And when you pick a number 1 draft, you always think that guy's going to be an impact player. It just doesn't turn out that way, automatically anyway.
Yeah, the Hornets, they took a chance with Kaminsky. They passed on Justice Winslow, who when Justice Winslow slipped to the Hornets, I was like, man, that's going to be a good pick, because the Hornets have always been missing that wing that can score.
Yeah, the guy can flow.
Yeah, and they just passed up on Winslow, and they went with Kaminsky. He's had a couple good games, but he definitely isn't. He hasn't turned into be what I think they were hoping to get out of him in a first-round top 10 pick.
Talking at Shane's Rib Shack, Basketball in Focus. Bryson Gordon with us. Got Michael Fields. Got Josh Hopkins coming up later tonight. Got Ray Bridges. Also Clarence Waddell in the program. Get some college basketball. What about that big game back on Monday night? I got that down, maybe the impact game of the year in the ACC, that Wake Forest-Virginia game. That game has such an impact. People are talking about the fact, what about that Wake Forest loss? Nobody's talking about the Virginia win.
Yeah.
How about that Virginia victory? No, it's all about the Wake Forest loss. And boy, that really cut those guys apart. That was a tough loss.
Yeah, Wake Forest, they looked to have that game in control. They were up 10 points late in the game. But that's just kind of been how their season's been so far. The out of conference, and before conference play started, they had good wins against Indiana and Maryland, and they were rolling right along. And then conference play,
Maryland's a tough team. That's unreal. You beat Maryland. That's unreal.
Yeah, or not Maryland, but UCLA. But
yeah.
I mean, they've had great wins out of conference, but as soon as conference play rolls around, they start struggling, and that just goes to show you how hard the ACC is to compete in this year. The ACC is really good, home or away.
Did you watch that game? Get a chance to watch
I got to see the ending.
Yeah, well, you saw the part that mattered the most.
Yeah, banking a three from the corner. I mean, you got to knock down your free throws at the end of a game.
What did they score? About 10 points in the last 20 seconds, 18 seconds?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, you hate it for Wake Forest to lose a game like that because they've been close in quite a few games and can't win the big games yet. And that's got to take a lot out of Danny Manning, too. I mean, he's trying to turn this thing around, and it's got to be frustrating, if not devastating, what happened Monday.
Yeah, he's really turning the program around so far, but it looks to me like he's going to take a little bit of a step back. You know, he's losing Devin Thomas and Cody Miller.
Well, Devin, I just wish they could turn Devin Thomas loose, have just a great senior. He's having to kind of work around some new players in this lineup, and you got to do that. You got to adjust your game to kind of keep up with them. I just hope he has a good senior season here and goes toward the pros, gets that chance.
Yeah, and I'm sure he was kind of hoping to make the NCAA tournament as a senior, which would have been a little bit lofty goals for Wake, seeing how the past couple of years have gone. But they had a legitimate shot going into ACC play, but the way they started out, it's kind of dampened their chances. But Devin Thomas was so good his sophomore and junior season when he got to just like reign in the post, when he got to do whatever he wanted to down low. And now that they have other big men like Durham Moore and John Collins, he can't really do as much as he wants to because he has to worry about other players getting their touches too.
What about Cody Miller McIntyre? Is he having much success since he came back after that injury?
Yeah, he's been playing pretty good. A lot of the Wake guards have been playing really good. Of course, Miller McIntyre, Wilbekin's playing really good. The freshman Crawford.
Going to ask about him. He seems to have had his name out there pretty well.
Yeah, he's had a really great season so far. Definitely better than what Danny Manning was expecting to get from him, and he's really contributed a lot to this team.
Would you see Wake Forest having a chance to do anything this season, postseason, or probably got to go somewhere and play in a secondary tournament, not the NCAAs?
Yeah. If Wake can get on a roll here, if they could have salvaged that Virginia game, and if they can get a hold on the rest of their season, and they win a couple games in the ACC tournament, I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the NIT. The NIT would be a good destination for them. It gets you a little bit of postseason experience in that kind of atmosphere. It may not be the NCAA tournament, but it's at least a little bit of experience for your younger guys like the Bryant Crawfords who are going to be there a couple more years.
I hope you can find the guy who's going to be kind of the linchpin, kind of the kingpin that's going to be your team leader in the future as far as Wake goes. I bet they haven't decided on that yet either.
No, but Crawford's shown signs that he could definitely be that guy. He can shoulder a lot of the offense. He can play defense really well, and so he can do it all for the Wake Forest defense.
I think they thought at one time he'd have a good chance to get Harry Giles, but that didn't pan out.
Yeah, that was.
I think because cool. Danny Manning being a big man, Harry Giles a big man might go play for another big man. One of the best big men in college basketball of the years. Danny Manning did well, NCAA title, high school state championship title here with Page, and did his job with Kansas, did his job with San Antonio in the NBA, got titles all over the place. But Harry Giles, but he's got to find that guy who's his main man, the main leader of that team.
Yeah. He can find that breakthrough recruit, that high-ranked recruit that can just come in for him and just shoulder everything for him.
Now you track this stuff pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Now how about Will Dillard at New Greensboro? I remember Will at one time was being recruited heavily by Wake Forest. What if that's still the case with Will Dillard?
I'm not sure if he's getting recruited heavily. I know he's a good player. I've seen him play a couple times at the HACO, but he's a really good basketball player. He definitely has the potential to be a high D1 player. He's really.
I think Will's got to get going though. The way his game has changed, a very good defensive player. Got better and better with his defense. Yeah. Just got to get his scoring game going a bit too. Because you go to Greensboro today, they kind of get in a pattern of certain guys be their main scoring players, main scoring positions and players, and that's been a kind of a different case. Will not to score maybe he was when he was younger, but I guess you can also make up for your scoring or lack thereof when you go to the AAU in the summer. You can score big in those games because that's a different style game. It's not your Greensboro Day School style of game when you hit the AAU trip, I'm sure.
AAU is really changing college basketball and how players play. You know, you can go from, if you're a good enough player, you can, in the AAU circuit, you can be the guy that scores 15, 20 points a game. But then in high school basketball, you can be the guy that's the team's lockdown defender and the leader on the team, and he's the captain, and he does all the good stuff for the team. But then when you go into the AAU circuit, you can really be the scoring threat on your team, and that's showing how much AAU is changing college basketball.
Talking with Bryson Gordon, GreensboroSports.com, Greensboro Sports Radio, and Bryson writes quite a few articles and does quite a few posts for us, and more coming up soon for the website. North Carolina, heads and shoulders above everybody else right now in the ACC?
In the ACC, yeah, I'd venture to say that there's teams like Virginia that'll be able to get them, especially if Carolina goes to Virginia, and always the Carolina-Duke matchup it's Carolina-Duke. It's a rivalry game, so that's always going to be a good game. But in the standings right now, Carolina looks really, really good and head and shoulders above everybody else.
Who's the MVP for Carolina right now?
I'd have to go with Bryce Johnson. Bryce Johnson's
that's a good
been playing really
call.
good. 39 points,
Call.
23 rebounds against Florida State.
He's done it fairly consistently too, right?
Yeah, he's definitely making a name for himself in the Player of the Year races. Marcus Page hasn't been incredible. He hasn't been the Marcus Page that everybody thought we would see.
It's probably a good thing they're playing as well as they are without him being that player in the past, because that shows the other guys are beginning to carry the load.
Yeah. Marcus Page, he's been in a little bit of a slump the last 4 games, not scoring, him not having high putouts in the scoring column in the last 4 games after he had 30 points against Florida State. But if the Heels are winning without him, I'm sure he's happy about that. I mean, I'm sure he'll trade a win over a good scoring night any day.
So look at Carolina. They're a lock to make the field. What about Duke? Think they're an outside shot to maybe go at least 2 rounds in the NCAAs?
It all depends on Emil Jefferson.
Getting him back?
Yeah, I don't think Emil Jefferson's going to be the guy that's going to save the year for Duke. I don't think he's going to be the factor that takes him to the Final Four or even an Elite 8. But I think that if they can get Emil Jefferson back and healthy, I think they can save this season and turn it into a season where they can make the championship of the ACC.
This is his senior year. This is the year he was supposed to have a chance to kind of break out and do some of the things he did like back when he was in high school. Because after he came to Duke, because the other players that were around him, he had to become kind of a different player where he was like a complimentary player, had to do the dirty work and take care of some other odds, ends, and business that the scorers don't necessarily often do. But this was going to be his year. He got injured, but they got guys like Grayson Allen and he got Brandon Ingram. Those guys, you hope they're not burned out by the time he gets back, because those guys are having to work extremely hard right now.
Yeah, they're having to play 6 guys right now at all times, and that's a shame, because the way Brandon Ingram works, he's a really good offensive player, but when you're an offensive player and you have to play that much, your legs get tired, and when your legs get tired, you can't shoot as well.
And Allen goes to the basket. He's going to get banged up a lot too.
Allen drives all
because they don't start banging him up pretty soon. He scores extremely well.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy takes it to the hole with authority and with confidence. I like that guy. I mean, he's really getting a chance to show what he can do. He showed us that last year, at that very toward the last game against Wisconsin. Went crazy there. But he's really, you think about, you saw that one game. Well, this guy, can he do that every night? He's been doing it every night.
Yeah, a lot of people were questioning his talent. They were saying, okay, if he's the focal point of the offense and a focal point of the scouting of the opposing team's scouting report, how is he going to be able to create his own offense if they're just focused on stopping him? And so far this season, he showed he's every bit capable of scoring at will.
Do you think Cat Barber can get some help at NC State? Because he didn't have much help right now.
Yeah, he's a stud. But if they can get Terry Henderson back,
Terry Henderson, that's an interesting guy, because he played at Neuse Christian. I think Van Dyke actually played against him a few years ago.
Yeah, they played him in
your old school, Van Dyke Christian School. Yeah, played against Terry Henderson's school, Neuse River.
Yeah, that was Michael's team actually played against Terry Henderson. But if they can get Terry Henderson back, I think he only played 1 game this season. He got hurt in the season opener.
What if he can get a red shirt out of that 1 year?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Because you think about it, because it may end up being a better point if he comes back real late in the year. Just go ahead and hold him out, because I think he came to state as a junior from West Virginia. Yeah. If he's got 2 years left, I don't want to waste 1 year. He may want to do it because he may think he could go pro after 1 year in college. But if I'm the guy that runs the team, I'd like to have this guy for 2 years. I'd still like to have Trevor Lacey back too. That'd be one of the worst decisions ever made. If he was still there, he could be out there helping Cat Barber take a lot, because you got the Martin brothers, Caleb and Cody Martin. The Martin brothers are more like forwards. Those guys, they're doing okay handling them. They're still not true guards, because they're so used to playing down low and around the basket on the deep wing. I mean, I see because Mark Godfrey said if Cat Barber couldn't play the next game, I guess that was last night's game against Georgia Tech, he was going to have one of the Martin brothers be the point guard. I thought, gosh, that guy's huge. I mean, it can work, but it still leaves a lot to be desired there, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Martin twins don't have the offensive capabilities of Cat Barber, but there's not many guys in America that actually do.
I think Cat Barber's playing his game toward to have a great year this year. He may well get a lot of advice from some of his people around him. Some of his group may say, you need to go pro. Yeah. He could well leave the team hanging there too. He could well leave.
But luckily, next year, even if Cat Barber
Dennis
leaves, they have Dennis Smith.
That's the man. And he's injured this year, right? Not playing this
he's
year.
on the team this year, but he's not going to play because of ACL.
Now, is he at State already?
Yeah, he's already enrolled.
He left his high school once he got hurt. He went ahead and enrolled. That's what the deal was? Yeah. But he's injured and can't practice, right?
No, he can't practice. He can't play.
Well, he should be the man for at least a couple of years.
Yeah,
he gets in there.
He'll be there next year, and a lot of people are saying he could be a one-and-done kind of guy.
He's an old teammate at Quay Parker, right? They were teammates at Trinity Christian out of Fayetteville.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I hope he's healthy to go next year, because I don't see Cat Barber being there again next year. But I still wish Lacey were there when he declared to go pro. And I hadn't heard a thing about him. He probably is in the D League somewhere. I hadn't heard a thing about him in the pros this year.
Yeah, Trevor Lacey. That was kind of a fast.
He was really just starting to get it going last year. I mean, he did well pretty much the entire, but he was really getting the thing started, getting it moving. If he could stay one more year, his stock would have been. I mean, he would have been talked about even more so than Cat Barber right now.
Oh yeah, he had one of the pretty, not necessarily the prettiest strokes, but he would knock down shots all night long, all over the court. wherever it is, he's just catch and shoot kind of guy.
And he had a way to cover the court. He covered the entire court, too, everywhere, all over the basketball.
He would have been a great compliment to Cat Barber's game. And they could play off each other, and State would be a lot higher in the ACC rankings, and they may have a shot at making the tournament again this year.
Well, what about down to the bottom? You put State, you put Wake Forest, you put Boston College. Who else? Down to the bottom tier of the league right now. Who are the bottom feeders right now in the ACC?
I don't know. The ACC is so strong right now because you got teams like Duke that are sitting at 4-4, so they're in the bottom half, but they're definitely not a bottom half team.
Who's that again?
Duke. They're sitting at 4-4. They're not a bottom half team, but that's where they are in the standings. It's a little bit early in ACC season because you still have teams like Clemson who are they're on top of the standings. Mm-hmm. Virginia Tech, who gave
Clemson's
Carolina
on top of the standings right now. Then.
They're in the top half.
Wow, interesting. Virginia Tech beat Virginia to beat Duke. That's a team to be worried about.
Yeah, they gave Carolina fits on Sunday too, right before the Panthers game. Carolina was up double digits. And
what was the final 75-70, something like that?
Yeah, 75-70.
But I think Virginia Tech, as crazy as it might seem and crazy as it is, they're a scary team.
Yeah,
that's a team to be worried about.
Really good, and they're well coached. Buzz Williams is a great coach.
Yeah, I didn't know if he would fit in there when he came out. I thought he maybe come there and it wouldn't work out. It's because sometimes the coaches go there, it doesn't work out, they move on somewhere pretty quickly. They're out of there and gone. Yeah. But it seems like it's going pretty well for him.
Yeah, he's built his team around transfers too. He has Zach Leday. He's a transfer kid, but he's one of their best players. They have Justin Bibbs. He's a really good basketball player. And so you see what they did against Duke and Virginia, but they really gave Carolina fits the other day, and they almost came back all the way and beat Carolina.
Well, who do you put up at the top of the league right now? Your top 4 or 5 teams?
I think Carolina's definitely a top team. If Virginia's a top team when they play like they can. Duke is definitely a top 5 team in the ACC if they have Emil Jefferson.
How does he do back? Do you know?
It's still there's no timetable for his
now
return.
He's not. Is he got a boot on now? Has he got the
no, he got the boot off.
Got rid of the boot.
Yes.
Okay, I think I saw him on the bench in the game Saturday.
Yeah,
okay.
No boot on right now, but there's still no timetable.
No practice time. Yeah, he's not practicing yet.
Yeah, but also with them, it's hard. The ACC is really good this year. Virginia Tech looks really good. They're passing all the eye tests, so I put them in the top half of the league along with Clemson, who's also played really strong this season. Louisville's really good.
Louisville's always going to be a team to be looked at.
Yeah, Louisville and North Carolina actually play on Monday, so that'll be a really good game.
It's crazy. They've got so many of these games now on Monday nights. In the past, didn't have those. These major Monday night college basketball. If you forget it, because you just got over the weekend watching the game maybe on Saturday, on Sunday. He's right. There's another game on Monday. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. Carolina goes to Louisville.
It's going to Louisville.
Yeah, it'll be at Louisville. It's one of Carolina's. It'll probably be their first test in conference, their first really hard game, and then they get to play at Notre Dame the next game. And Notre Dame's another team that's in the top.
So they got Louisville, Notre Dame back to back.
Yeah.
Is the Notre Dame game in Chapel Hill?
No, this one's at Notre Dame.
Both of them on the road.
They got 2 straight road games, which would be a good test to really see how the Tar stack up.
Big time business. Big time business. So you predict Carolina to finish first, and you predict probably to finish second.
Finish second. I really like Louisville to finish second, or Pittsburgh. I think Duke is, with the 4 losses they've already had, and what we've seen so far from them this
Pittsburgh's
season.
not being talked that much about this year. I know they have been in the past. What about Pittsburgh?
They don't score the ball as well as most teams in the country do, but they're really good on the defensive end. Jamie Dixon's a great coach. It's always hard to play at Pittsburgh.
So NC State they got their only conference win. There just had to be one of those nights where they could just about do nothing wrong.
Yeah, Pitt's a really good team. If they can keep things going with Jamel Artis, he's their best player. He can score the ball really, really well. And so if they can keep things going, I'd see keeping them atop the conference too.
Yeah, Maverick Rowan had a big night when he went back. I think he's from that area. He lived there at one time, and he moved on to Miami and was like player of the year in both states. He's a pretty good shooter for NC State, but you can't get him in a game and expect him to bring you all the way back.
No.
You hate to put that on one guy's shoulders. Let's get in the ball. He's got to shoot us back in the game, because it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and that's something you would expect from Cat Barber, to be able to keep you in the game. But if there's a night where he's running tired, you got to have that second option. When he bumped
knees to the Duke kid on Saturday, I'm sure he bumped knees with. He bumped knees to the Duke player Saturday. After that, he kind of banged his knee up. He wasn't really looking for the ball anymore. He was bringing the ball up and he letting it go. It's like he didn't want the ball. He's got to want that ball in those key situations when he's healthy and want to take over the game, especially at home, because you want to beat that team so bad at home. Because when you go there, it's a completely different story when you go to Durham, no doubt about that. But a guy like Cat Barber's got to want that ball. He's got to be able to take over that game. He's got to be the guy that can control that game. But he was looking toward his teammates and just looking anywhere but the basket late in the game.
Yeah. NC State had Duke on the ropes at home until Cat Barber kind of fell off.
It's almost like State would have to get a 30-point lead to beat State.
Yeah. State they crumble a little bit every now and then, but I mean it's just something that happens when you don't have that second star player. When your number one option is starting to get shut down late in games, you got to have another guy.
Boo and Anya on the inside, they went to those guys late in that game. That's why they started going inside because Barbara obviously was not ready to do anything outside. Wasn't looking to do much outside. They went to Anya and Boo inside. Those guys had, but late in the game, if you're going that way and you're already down by 10 or 12, you're trading baskets. You got no chance to get back against. That's 2 points. You got to find some threes outside too somewhere.
Those are the times you got to have Maverick Rowan. He's struggled a little bit this season, but he's starting to come around. And if he can knock down that shot, he could really be that.
The guy they haven't used at all, and I thought they would because I saw him in that All-Star game at the Coliseum last summer. Is this kid Sean Kirk? He's got kind of the wild hair, sits on the bench, and he's from down around the eastern part of the state. I thought they would use Sean Kirk some, but I think the coaches, Mark Godfrey's like any other coach, like Mike Krzyzewski. If he hits a certain situation where he decides I'm not going to use that guy's not going to play much at all.
Yeah, and even Duke has done that. I mean, they've got a top 10 recruit in Chase Jeter, sitting on the bench all season so far. He played the other night. He played like 3 minutes against Miami. And a guy like that, you're not gonna develop him by sitting him on the bench and just getting minutes in practice. You're gonna have to put him out, and it's death by fire. You're gonna have to let him get on the court and figure out how to do things out there.
The Kennard kid is starting to play more for Duke and starting to contribute.
Yeah, Kennard's one of the best shooters in the country. He's got a pretty form lefty. He's already knocking down 90+% from the free throw line. He's leading the nation in his free throw percentage. Kennard, he's a really good player, and he's going to be one of the guys that stick around for a while for Duke. He's definitely going to be a 3 to 4 year guy.
Okay, let's get to some high school basketball with Bryson Gordon. Bryson with us. We got coming up next Michael Fields. High school been checking out Vandalia Christian. How about those guys? That's your old school?
Looking really good. Yeah, that's my old school. Vandalia's looking really good here lately. Went the other night to go see Noah Dunn score his 1,000th point. That was really cool to see a guy that he's only played 1.5 years get 1,000 points. That's a lot of points in 1.5 seasons. So, but they're looking good. They're looking better every game. They have Devin Resper as a guard. He can shoot the ball, so they're looking strong.
Get some talk somewhere from people around the basketball circles. Maybe Noah Dunn should work and look elsewhere in the future. Go someplace a little more competitive schedule, maybe more competitive play. Maybe you should look outside Vandalia and transfer out and go to another school and finish up there. I know some other schools have definitely been interested in him.
Yeah, I know he considered that this past off season, but he ultimately decided to go back to Vandalia. But I mean, it's all what he wants to do. If you feel like that's best for him, then that's what he wants to do, then he can go ahead and go on.
How about other high school teams? Checked anybody else out much?
I haven't been to many. I just went to the HACO one day, but that's about it.
And for Vandalia, you think they got a good shot to go ahead and win their tournament again this year? Or are they now about 17, 18 to 6, or even more?
Yeah, that's about right. 18 to 6. They play a lot of games so far in the season, but yeah, they definitely have a good shot at winning it all again because they didn't lose a crazy amount because they still kept their best player, Noah Dunn. So they definitely have a chance. And I know they played Alamance and they beat Alamance on the crazy last second shot.
8/10 of a second on the clock. He had a 3-pointer in that game. I talked to a guy who was at that game. He said they were up by 2, and then Alamance got the ball, came down, hit a couple of free throws, and tied the game up at 2. And then Vandalia got it after that last second heave-ho shot.
Yeah, they threw it all the way down the court. Noah Dunn caught it, falling out of bounds, and made the game-winning 3. And that was their best competition on the west side of the conference. And so once they get to the state tournament, they've already beaten everybody on their side of the conference. As long as they can they should have the 1 seed by then. If they can just hang on and not get upset, they should be able to win it again and get 2 in a row.
How about the Carolina Panthers in the Super Bowl?
That's going to be exciting. I was too young to remember the last one. It was a long time ago, so it's going to be really nice to watch them play in the Super Bowl. Cam Newton's playing really good. I hope they win. The Denver's defense is really good, so it's going to be a tough one.
Who are you picking there?
I got to pick Carolina. I really think they will win. He's too strong for even the best defense. I mean, everybody's seen how far he's come since his first year.
Do you think we should see more or less of Cam Newton? We're seeing quite a bit now with this 2-week layoff between the games.
I think it's fine. I don't even think we need to see more or less. I think it's the perfect amount. I know he made some comments today about people judging him because he's African American, but it is what it is. Cam Newton, all the dabbing he does and the carrying himself, if he's winning, let him do it.
A lot of interest, a lot of excitement. I mean, he just carries himself in a certain way, a little different. Maybe some others. He likes to be on that main stage, and when he gets on the main stage, he's going to show his interest, enthusiasm, show his energy. The energy flies all. He's very energetic. He likes to demonstrate it too.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's won on every level. He won at Auburn. He won the Heisman, and he'll probably win the MVP this year. So it's going to be really, really nice to see how he performs under the big lights of the Super Bowl, because there's a lot of people watching that.
What's your sports weekend looking like for this weekend? What do you got coming up? Some things you'll be tracking, following.
I will be watching a lot of college basketball. Oklahoma LSU plays this weekend, and so that's gonna put the two best players in the country, Buddy Hield and Ben Simmons, against each other.
Yeah, you were talking about Ben Simmons in the preseason quite a bit.
Ben Simmons is really good, and he's probably not the front runner for Player of the Year. That's probably Buddy Hield. He's averaging 25 points a game. He's playing really good, but Ben Simmons is right there, averaging 19 points, 12 rebounds. He's really looking.
Who are your top 5 teams in the country?
Top 5 teams, I think Carolina's in the top 5. I think Maryland looks really good. When they played against Carolina, they really impressed me with how deep they are. They have Melo Trimble, Diamond Stone,
Rashid Suleiman.
Yeah, Rashid Suleiman is friendly face around here. I think Iowa's a top 5 team in the country.
Iowa is, huh?
Yeah,
coached by Fran McCaffrey, former UNCG coach.
Yeah, that's
wow,
right.
All things.
In the Big Ten, everybody talks about Maryland and Michigan State, but they're in first place. They're number 3 team in the AP
Still a couple
polls.
teams that I saw these guys briefly last Sunday. Villanova and Providence. Providence looked pretty good.
Yeah, Providence is led by Chris Dunn.
Interesting
guy. One of the best guards in the country. He can score a lot. Providence also Ed Cooley coached. They made a run in the tournament a couple years ago. Ran into North Carolina. I played them. But Providence is definitely one of the top teams in the Big East. And Villanova is always good. They got Jay Wright. They have Ryan Archidiakono, Jalen Brunson at the guards, Daniel Ochefu, the big man. Villanova is really good. And in the Big East, it kind of fits their style of play, because they're not. I don't think they're as good as the top tier teams. Like you get the top tier teams that are Carolina, Maryland, Iowa, Michigan State. But I think they're on that next tier. I think they're going to be about a 3 seed, that 3 seed level, and I think they could make a run. But it's going to be hard for them to overcome the top tier teams in the country.
Well, let's get rolling. Let you move on. Thank you very much, Bryson.
Sure.
Be sure to get with Don Moore to get your information for the website for the upcoming events and the posts you'll be doing. Got Michael Fields in next. Big Michael coming in from UNCG by way of GTCC. Good to have Bryson.